Captain Zex Thera of the Valdorian Imperial Fleet stood 8 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh fluorescent lights of the Galactic Defense Academy's training facility. His forearms crossed in what his species considered a gesture of supreme confidence as he surveyed the mixed group of cadets before him. Representatives from 12 different species stood at attention, each hoping to earn a place in the elite interstellar combat division. His compound eyes fixed on the smallest figure in the formation, a human female who barely reached his thorax. Cadet Sarah Chen stood perfectly still, her brown eyes focused straight ahead, betraying nothing of her thoughts. At 5 feet 4 inches and weighing perhaps 130 pounds, she appeared almost comically fragile next to her alien counterparts. Pathetic, Zexathera clicked, his mandibles spreading in what passed for a sneer among his kind. The humans continue to send their weaklings to compete with superior species. Tell me, little soft skin, how do you expect to survive in real combat when a strong breeze could snap your brittle bones? A few nervous chitters arose from the Zenthari cadets, insectoid beings who always found humor in others' misfortune. The massive Kroganth cadet, resembling a cross between a rhinoceros and a tank, rumbled his approval. Even the usually diplomatic Etherian representatives remained silent, their translucent forms shimmering with what could only be described as second-hand embarrassment. Sarah's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly, but she maintained her position. She had heard variations of this speech throughout her 3 years at the academy. Humans were soft. Humans were weak. Humans had no place among the warrior races of the galaxy. Perhaps, Zexathera continued, stepping closer until his shadow engulfed the human cadet. We should demonstrate the futility of human military ambitions. Cadet Chen, step forward. Sarah moved with precise military bearing, stopping exactly 3 feet from the towering alien captain. The size difference was absurd, a child facing a living siege engine. The exercise is simple, Zexathera announced to the assembled cadets. Hand-to-hand combat, no weapons, no armor, no technological assistance, pure physical prowess. This will serve as an object lesson in why some species are destined to serve while others are born to command. The other instructors exchanged glances. Instructor Yulara, a serpentine Nethkari with centuries of combat experience, slithered closer. Captain, perhaps a more suitable opponent. No. Zexathera's voice carried the authority of someone who had crushed rebellions on 17 different worlds. The galaxy is a harsh place. Better this human learns her limitations now than dies ignorantly in real combat. Sarah remained motionless, her breathing steady and controlled. She had been waiting for this moment, not eagerly, but with the patience of someone who understood that preparation meets opportunity in unexpected ways. Begin when ready, Zexathera commanded, settling into a combat stance that had been perfected over millennia of Valdorian warfare. His species had conquered half their galaxy through superior strength, endurance, and an exoskeleton that could deflect most conventional weapons. What happened next would be analyzed in academy combat courses for decades to come. Sarah moved, not with the wild desperation of someone outmatched, but with the fluid precision of a predator that had studied its prey. She dropped low, her movements a blur of calculated violence. Her right foot swept behind Zexathera's primary leg while her left hand struck upward, fingers extended rigid as steel bars. The captain's compound eyes had time to register surprise before Sarah's strike found the one vulnerable point in his seemingly impenetrable armor, the soft neural cluster at the base of his neck, a weakness known only to xenobiology specialists and those who had spent years studying Valdorian anatomy. Zexathera's nervous system, evolved for a homeworld with half of Earth's gravity, had never adapted to handle the precise, devastating pressure Sarah applied to that critical junction. His massive frame, so intimidating moments before, crumpled, like a marionette with severed strings. The training facility fell silent except for the soft thud of 8 feet of alien warrior hitting the deck. Sarah straightened, not even breathing hard. She had trained for this moment through countless hours in Earth's crushing gravity, her body conditioned by a world that crushed the weak and forged the survivors into something harder than any exoskeleton. Instructor Eulara slithered forward, checking Zexathyra's vital signs with practiced efficiency. Temporary neural disruption, she announced. He will recover in approximately 10 minutes with no permanent damage. The other cadets stared in shocked silence. The Zenthari had stopped, chittering. The Kroganth's massive jaw hung open in disbelief. Even the ethereal Etherians had solidified slightly, their translucent forms shimmering with something approaching awe. "How?" whispered Cadet Vorth, a young Valdorian whose own exoskeleton suddenly felt less protective than it had minutes ago. Sarah turned to face the assembled group, her voice carrying clearly in the stunned silence. "Humans don't survive because we're the strongest or the fastest. We survive because we adapt. We study. We learn our enemies' weaknesses and exploit them without mercy." She gestured toward the unconscious form of Captain Zexathyra. "Every species in this galaxy evolved to dominate their homeworld. You became apex predators in your environments. But humans? We became apex predators of apex predators. We didn't conquer our world through superior strength. We conquered it through superior intelligence, endurance, and the willingness to do whatever it takes to win." Instructor Eulara's serpentine head bobbed in what might have been approval. "The human speaks truth. On Earth, they hunted creatures 10 times their size to extinction using nothing but persistence and cunning. They turned wolves into pets and made the very planet bend to their will." As if summoned by the conversation, Captain Zexathyra began to stir, his compound eyes blinking in confusion. Sarah extended a hand to help him up, a gesture of respect between warriors. "You fought with honor," she said simply as the massive alien regained his feet, his pride more damaged than his nervous system. Zexathyra stared down at the small human who had humbled him so completely. Slowly, understanding dawned in his alien features. He had made the classic mistake of equating physical appearance with capability. Humans looked fragile because they didn't need to look dangerous to be dangerous. "Perhaps," he said slowly, his mandibles clicking with what might have been respect, "the Academy's xenobiology courses should be mandatory for all instructors." The other cadets erupted in nervous laughter, the tension finally breaking. As they dispersed to their next training rotation, Sarah caught fragments of whispered conversations. The word human was being spoken with a different tone now, less dismissive, more cautious. Instructor Eulara slithered alongside Sarah as they walked toward the exit. "That was well executed, Cadet. Though I suspect you have been planning that particular demonstration for some time." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. 3 years, 2 months, and 16 days, ma'am. Ever since my first day here." "And what have you learned from this experience?" Sarah paused at the threshold, looking back at the training facility where Captain Zexathyra was still recovering his composure. "That sometimes the best way to prove you belong somewhere is to show them what happens when they underestimate where you came from." As the Academy's 3 suns set beyond the crystalline spires of the capital city, one thing had become clear to everyone present. Humanity might appear fragile to alien eyes, but appearances, as Captain Zexathyra could now attest, could be devastatingly deceiving.